Hello, lovely Otafest listeners, to this week's episode of the Otafest podcast. It's me, Nancy. I'm back, and I'm
Oh
here
my God.
with Angelo
Wow.
and Jay.
Who is
Hi.
this usurper? Who is this coming into our podcast, the Jay and Angelo podcast, acting like the third member of the podcast crew?
It's certainly just an AI generated voice. Certainly, it must be.
I mean, y'all have had like 5 or 6 seasons of podcast to train an AI on my voice. So, what have you been doing?
I feel like if we trained an AI in your voice, all it would be able to do is talk about keyboards.
Keyboards, computers, video games, anime, and keyboards.
I went
Yes.
to the TELUS Spark for a holiday party, and one of their symposium talks was actually about like a very kind of surface level talk about like AI and how it's being implemented and what you can expect. And one of the things was at that moment of the lecture, by the way, this party took place yesterday, and they were talking about, they showed an example of how powerful generative AI is for essentially like deep fakes. And what they did was they fed this very new generative model one single photo of their dog playing in the snow. And from that, it generated 3 videos that, if you did not look closely enough, was scarily accurate.
Well,
But the worst part was they actually then generated a second set of videos that didn't even use a single descriptor for the dog, no photo, no, like, other than show me a video of a dog playing, and it was a completely fake dog, and that dog actually looked even better.
what?
Oh my God.
Yeah. There were some errors, but you'd have to be like maybe either looking for them. They weren't as abruptly demonic
Yeah.
as some of these can be. It was interesting.
Generative AI is getting better and better, and it's depressing.
Yeah, I don't really love the idea that I can just generate lots of fake content of Ilya. It's not as good
my
as the real
God.
stuff.
But it's a
No.
good thing that this podcast is 100% human and genuine.
We promise.
Yes.
We
Beep boop.
promise.
Create authentic podcast protocol.
I think that's a reason why the robots will come after you first, Angela.
Oh, I'm going to be so prejudiced against robots. I don't want to use like the Disney branded clankers term for them. I want to find my own slurs for robots.
What are you, hardwired?
Hey, you know what? I just realized you could start using all of those names that they used in Reboot.
Oh my
You
God.
can start calling them dip switches.
My God.
Whoa,
Dip
whoa,
switches is
hey.
a perfect
Yo.
term. Oh my God.
Yo, Nancy with the just coming back and whipping out the hard D. Jeez, that's insane.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
This guy looks 16-bit and 15% of them have bit flip errors.
What are you, still buffering? Get out of here.
Oh. Ooh. Loading.
Ha ha ha.
Japan
This
changed
clanker
me.
has 8 megs and constantly swapping.
Ooh, ouch.
You were saying,
Page.
Nancy?
Japan changed me. I must have come back worse.
Oh no. Oh no. You came back worse? How did that happen?
What, did you just spend all your time in Akiba?
You know what? No, we actually went to Nakano Broadway instead this time.
Oh,
So we opted to skip out on Akiba and went to Nakano Broadway. And I can safely say that Nakano Broadway is 50% Mandarake. You can just go and get
Jesus.
lots and lots of really, vintage anime in all of its forms, video games, figures, whatever you want. And the other half of Nakano Broadway is just like really expensive watches.
Oh my God.
Like, it was such a strange juxtaposition. Like, you're just kind of walking through the different floors, and like every floor is like watch store, watch store, watch store, a glass walled room where people go to have their finance discussions about their expensive watches, and then mandarake, like everywhere.
So what you're telling me is you could buy a $20,000 watch and then get a $20,000 retro Japanese toy, little robot, to hold your watch.
Yes. Or you could show up with vintage weeby stuff, sell it, and then turn around and use that money to go next door and buy yourself like an unnecessarily expensive Rolex.
That sounds like a horrible idea.
Or the other way around, like
I want to cash in my Rolex for like a Stretch Armstrong.
I came across a random person who had a big, like, sometimes when you see like parents and they've got like a little wagon and their kids sitting in it, and it's like a pretty big wagon. Someone was dragging one of those, and it was full of like figures, like unopened boxed figures and games.
Wow.
And it was huge. It was a huge stack. It was about as tall as me, and he just came out of this like little one-person elevator dragging it behind him. He almost dropped like a very expensive-looking Gundam, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh my God!
Well, I gotta say, at first I was gonna be really impressed. You were like a big pile, but then you said as tall as you, and then I was like, all right, so like 2 Gundams.
I mean, in various
Jay,
sizes.
Gundams are 50 meters tall.
Oh,
Or is it 15 meters? 50 feet. I can't remember.
I don't
All right.
remember.
But Jay,
They're tall.
Nancy is much shorter than the average Gundam.
I am the perfect pilot height for the one that's in Odaiba.
I believe that. I can believe that.
we'll get you into a pilot suit. Test it out.
I didn't come back any heavier, oddly enough. I like ate like nobody's business. I ate everything, and there was
What
so much
was the
sugar.
tastiest thing?
We found this amazing souffle pancake place.
Oh my God. Souffle
And they
pancakes.
did the perfectest souffle pancake. We stayed in Asakusa this time, and it was really funny because there's a couple of
Yo.
YouTubers that stay in and around Asakusa. We almost ran into them because they released a new video right after we came home, and we were like, wait a minute, we were just there on that same day. Cool. We could have run into them.
I also stayed in Asakusa last time I was there. It's really fun. I really love the neighborhood.
It is wonderful.
My
Outside
understanding
of that
is
big
that
main stretch at Sensoji.
Asakusa is a very, very touristy area. But considering that we are tourists in that area, was it nice?
was
Was
nice.
it good?
It's
was nice.
I would say it's a touristy area, but it's not the first touristy area that tourists tend to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think about like having stayed in Shinjuku before. It's way quieter than Shinjuku.
Oh yeah,
That's
it's
fair.
it's not not by a lot, but it is a little bit. Even though you're in Tokyo, off the beaten path in a sense, you're not immediately connected to the major transit in the area. You actually usually have to walk a little bit to a station, and that alone kind of deters
Asakusa
people.
itself is still very well connected, though. So I really
True,
liked
true.
staying there. Like last time we went, we stayed in Ginza, and Ginza's like, it's Ginza. You kind of go
Yeah.
and watch people spend lots of money. So there's a lot of you can
You stayed in
feel
Ginza?
money being spent in Ginza. You can smell it.
I don't think I'd ever stay in Ginza except for I think there's some cool stuff like the No Theater, but I wouldn't necessarily stay in Ginza for it.
We went to a kabuki show actually.
Ooh,
When we were in
Neat.
Kyoto, because there's that big kabuki theater right by where we stay.
how do they handle the translations? Because I've heard
They
there's
don't.
like they don't. I've
They
heard
don't.
I thought I used to hear that they had screens or something. But maybe I misremembered, or it's for a different type of performance.
It could just be that you're thinking of a specific theater that maybe actually deals in translation. This one didn't. We were in the Minamiza Theater that's in Kyoto. It was really, really interesting because there was just, again, when you're in Japan and you're queuing up to go into anything, everyone is extraordinarily well ordered. Everything is very organized and neat. None of this messy queuing system that they have. But yeah, like we were there and it was really cool because it was my first time going to like a proper kabuki theater show. It was so cool.
I can imagine.
When are you going to go to sumo, Nancy? How can I introduce you to sumo?
We actually passed by like the grand sumo. I want to call it an arena, but it's not an arena.
It's called the Kyokugikan.
Yeah.
Is the name of
we
the
passed by
sumo
the
type
grand
arena.
one that's in Kyoto, and it was really cool.
Oh my.
Yeah, at the time that you were going, it would not have been occurring in Kyoto. It's happening in Fukuoka. The end of the year is always in Fukuoka. But it's super fun, and if I can ever invite people to go for that reason, I highly encourage it. It's super fun, and you don't have to love sports.
I feel like sumo is one of those things where even if you don't regularly watch or if you're not much of a sportsman, you can still figure what is going on. You might not understand the nuances, but
yeah. I think the biggest thing is overcoming misconceptions. Like, it's just two fat dudes.
That's not really the case.
They do be heavy men, but under the fat
that's
there
not true.
is a lot of muscle.
That's not entirely, well, there's a lot of muscle. That is one thing. But there is, one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that there is no weight classes in professional sumo. There are wrestlers who are about, comparatively still larger than your average person, but about, let's say 200 to 220 pounds, fighting somebody who is 350 pounds. But they've made it to professional sumo. They've made it to the top level. So they're there to win. And they have won many times. You know what I mean? So you can't take them for granted. You can't just be like, why is there a smaller dude there? It's like, because he knows how to win.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my.
Anyways.
You have to admire someone who, even if they're like shorter stature, if they have their technique down and they know exactly how to play the game, it's kind of crazy. Like that's skill. That's 100% technique.
Exactly. That is 100% technique.
Exactly. It's like I said, it's a super fun time. I would love to introduce more of it to more people, but it's not about me. Tell me more about your travels this time, Nancy.
So this time, last time, let's talk about last time. Last time we failed to actually see Koyo because there were no red maples last year when we went. It was still like late summer. So this year we went a lot later to see the maples, and they were gorgeous. They were red. They were majestic. They had lots of the same temples we had been to before, had like nighttime illuminations for it. So we went to one of those.
Yeah.
And we happened
Going to temples at night is so gorgeous.
So gorgeous.
Asakusa Temple, or Asakusa Shrine, I should say,
Sensoji
is gorgeous at night.
Yeah, Sensoji is beautiful at night. We went back to Kiyomizu-dera, which was so busy. Interestingly enough, I feel like of all of the busy places we went, it was probably Kiyomizu-dera that was the busiest. And I don't think throughout the entire trip we ran into more than 3 other people who spoke English, who happened to be English-speaking tourists at the same time as us. Most of them were Mandarin-speaking or Korean-speaking or French. We heard a lot of French people.
Really?
It was really cool. So lots of nighttime illumination. We also happened to be there for their autumn festival, which was just a week and a half ago. And they had a really big night illumination at Nijo Castle for that. And it was really, really cool to see.
That's wonderful. Oh, my God.
I have a like an interesting question to ask, maybe. Because you mentioned sort of other visiting tourists from other parts of the world. when I go to Japan and I'm with either another like a group of people or even just by myself, even though, and I think I've talked about this before, I am Asian, but to a Japanese person, I wouldn't appear Japanese, but they will still initially talk to me in Japanese. You being with Sean, who is not Asian, but is clearly with you, has anyone approached you thinking that Japanese would be maybe your first language or try to communicate with you first?
The trend that I have seen is that they look at you as a unit first. So, and also Sean is very tall, so
Oh,
he sticks
true.
out in more than one way. And
Yeah.
so when they see someone that is tall and clearly not Asian, they treat the unit very much like the unit is foreign. But they
Right.
also look at me and they beeline to me and try and communicate with me first.
Yes, I think I can understand
Once
that part.
Once they hear me speaking Japanese, they go full on, oh, you know Japanese.
Yeah.
But I'm not that fluent in Japanese, right? I don't live in
Sure.
the immersion. I don't have all of the everyday vocabulary that I need easily accessible in like a moment when I need it. And so at some point, I actually have to ask them. It's like, could you please speak a little bit slower? And then they're like, oh, okay, where are you from? And then when you tell them you're from Canada, they go off on this huge tangent about what they love about Canada.
Yes,
Where are
that
you from?
happens
Yes.
a lot.
Where are you from in Canada? So if you tell them where we are, they go, oh, 84 Olympics, oh, this and that,
Yes.
and the Rocky Mountains, I love the mountains.
89
and like,
Olympics.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry,
Or
89
not nine,
Olympics.
88 Olympics.
88.
88 Olympics. Why am I saying
88?
80? 89 was the
88
Stanley Cup and
Olympics.
88 is the Olympics.
Dio and I had that exact experience in a
Yeah.
in a hot spring.
And they
Yeah.
still do it. They still
Yeah.
do it.
They really revere the Olympics, I think.
They
more
do.
than we do.
They love
do.
the mountains here.
Yes,
Because we
and
have
the-
so many more of them, and they're just an entirely different kind of mountain.
And if you tell them you're from Alberta, like they will also be like, "Oh, beef,"
beef, yeah.
Beehoo.
and I just
Yes.
think it's hilarious.
Lots
I
of
remember.
conversation about beef.
Yeah.
Dio
this
and I
was a
went
trip where I
to,
had a lot of beef.
Oh, fair.
Yeah,
You
so
have
much
to get
beef.
the Wagyu or regular beef.
No. Okay,
Oh.
so it turns out like Wagyu might be the most branded and like the most internationally recognized type of beef, but it is by far the only kind of beef that is offered that has that insane marbling and the texture and like the high fat content. When we stayed in Beppu, so now I can officially say I went to Japan and I went to hell in Japan because it's called the Hell Pools. They are amazing hot springs. I love it. The entire
Oh my
city is
God.
like dotted with heat vents, basically, because this volcanic steam needs to be released out of the ground, and
Beppu
there's
looks
vents everywhere.
so interesting.
Beppu's pools, when you go see them, they are just like violently spewing forth. I have video I can show you later, but it is just violently spewing forth steam and water. So there, we stayed at a ryokan because, of course, you stay at a ryokan there. You want to have private hot springs in your room. That's where you go. And they served us for dinner this type of beef that specific part of Japan is known for, and it is even richer than Wagyu.
Really?
Is it?
I
So
could barely finish it. It was so rich. It's
Yeah,
not because
there's-
I was full. It was because it was so rich.
do you remember if it was Matsusaka or like Kobe or Omi?
It was called bungo, I think.
Oh, those are
It's
kind
a
of like
very
the
regional
big.
offering,
Oh, okay.
but it was very rich and it was delightful. The place we stayed in was really cool because the inn itself has this beautiful, huge garden in the center. So there's this big pond, there's fish in the pond, there's koi in the pond, and there's just this huge garden. And it turns out all of the rooms are actually dotted around the other side of the garden, and they're all very privately holed in so that you can't see any of the other rooms from the main dining area, but the main dining area has this stunning view of the garden. And then in your room where your private onsen is, when you're sitting in that, you're in one of those corner cubby holes in the garden and you can't see anything else. It was
I'm
so
going to
wonderful.
I'm gonna have to pick your brain after the podcast for some serious deets because I have made a promise to my girlfriend to pursue one of those destinations as part of our next trip together. So, you know,
Oh my.
Wonderful.
yeah,
We will be happy to speak on many topics with you.
wonderful.
But yes, it was a trip of lots of private onsens and just onsen in general, and lots of eating. We went back to our favorite tempura place, and it was so good.
Oh
I wept.
yeah.
I wept. It was so good. And this time we got to sit in front of the chef, and the chef like spoke with us while we were eating. And
Cool.
it was so delicious. Oh my
I'm
God, we
so
had
happy
many
for you guys.
parfaits. For sure, I thought I was going to come back like at least a few pounds every year, but no, apparently all that walking
Yeah.
does something.
Yeah, the walking is good for you. It makes your heart pump, it makes your legs move. It
Makes
burns
my
all the
bunion
calories.
unhappy.
Oh no.
Makes my bunion very unhappy, unfortunately.
Oh,
But I
no.
mean, you do what you got to do.
Simply
Gotta
get
enjoy while you're there.
become so happy that you literally become an angel and then just fly everywhere. That's what you have
Just
to do.
fly.
You'd be like, "Ah, I'm in heaven. So clearly I have angel wings." That's
But if
how
I'm
it
in
works,
heaven,
right?
I can't go to the hell pools again.
Yeah. I also
Oh,
picture
okay.
Hell
Nancy
pools were
becoming
amazing.
I
I wanna
picture
go to
Nancy
Beppu.
becoming like a biblical angel with many eyes,
With
saying,
many eyes
yeah,
and the
fear
really
not.
cursed structure.
Yeah.
Fear not, Japanese person. Where is
also-
your hottest bath?
Yeah.
We also stayed up in the mountains further up north in Yamagata. And oh my gosh, it is the most singularly picturesque place we've been to. And we saw a lot of very picturesque things this trip.
The mountains in Japan have a different vibe to them.
Different.
And it is
completely
so
different.
nice. Like they are old mountains. The mountain range
Well,
in
they're-
Japan
they're-
is so much older than the Rockies.
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but they are called the Alps. They are part of the Alp like system.
Wait, really?
Yep, the Japanese Alps. This is welcome to another episode of Jay Knows Things from Wikipedia.
Geography.
Yeah, geography. You're welcome. Where not everything is correct, but I know a little bit enough
The
to sound somewhat
Jpedia.
knowledgeable. Yeah,
So
but
I
it
was
is
always under the
Japanese Alps.
impression. Really? So I was always under the impression that like the word Alps generally refers to a mountain range, but I didn't know it was part of the same range that the Swiss Alps have.
I think so. I could be wrong, but I think it's possibly due to like it's a long-standing plate tectonics kind of thing where it may have broke. Like I don't know where Japan kind of came from, other than obviously it's part of an offshoot of China. But before that, where else does everything else connect? So it might have been a development of something of that idea. But you're right; they're very old mountains. That's why they're not very tall. They're kind of shrinking all the time.
I propose that the rest of the islands were formed mostly by volcanic emission.
That was my understanding. I thought they were just volcanic mountains because of the whole Ring of Fire shenanigans.
Most mountain ranges are created by tectonics.
Speaking of volcanic mountains, we got to see Mount Fuji from Enoshima this time.
Oh.
It was lovely. And like, yes, the slam dunk junction was full of people taking photos of that exact intersection. We didn't do that. We went to the train kind of passes by like along the sea, and we definitely got to see a glimpse of like the beach where a lot of Bunny Girl takes place and a lot of it. But we got to see Mount Fuji at sunset with hawks flying overhead. It was a very blessed moment.
Oh my god. It sounds like you just had the best view.
It was
Healing
magic. This whole
views.
trip was all magic.
I'm so
Speaking-
happy for you.
It's
Speaking
never
of
not
Fuji,
magic, but still.
there was a thing I read very recently. Have you heard about the scenic view of Mount Fuji where there's a Lawson's in front?
Yes, and they've recently put up like
They've put a wall.
scaffolding that like
Yes.
ruins the view. Yes,
They put the Japanese
because
government
of all
put
of
a
those
black
tourists
wall.
who were clogging up their parking lot to try and
Yeah.
stop and take photos. It was very funny.
because they thought it was essentially a danger to the public because of that. I think it's
No,
funny as
you're
hell.
not
It's really
supposed to
sad.
be
I don't know where it
loitering in a
is.
parking lot.
I don't know where it is, but there's also supposedly like a pedestrian bridge or something of that nature that has a fantastic view of Mount Fuji with like some train tracks there.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where it is though, but there are a lot of creative views of Mount Fuji that just amplify the Japanese-ness of it.
Is
Fair.
Mount Fuji the most iconic single mountain?
I
In Japan, yes.
Not in Japan. I mean, like in the world. Like
No.
I know there's
Fuji.
Kilimanjaro, I know there's Everest, but can you
Yeah, but-
picture? Can you
There's
picture?
also like the Matterhorn in Switzerland.
But yeah, but can
Yeah.
you picture them as iconically as Fuji? Like if
Yes.
if I ask you what does the Matterhorn look like in your head, can you immediately come up with
You
what that
know
looks
the mountain in Dr. Seuss's The Grinch? The Matterhorn
No.
looks like that.
like? I don't.
that's very funny.
I swear to God, I thought you were gonna say, you know what a Toblerone is?
You know what a Toblerone is? The Matterhorn kind of looks like that too.
But okay, but I would argue that Fuji, the shape of Fuji is so incredibly iconic. Like everywhere you go, there is always Fuji shaped things.
True.
Like there
That
are
is
rice
true.
bowls and sake cups and everything that have specifically been molded to be the shape of Fuji because it has a very specifically fluted look to it, which most other mountains don't have because most other mountains are formed at like the edges of tectonic plates where they just like rock that are literally shoved up into the air.
Yeah, and they're more part of an entire range, whereas Fuji has
It's a
this
singular
distinction.
peak.
Exactly. That's my
So-
feel on it. I think it's the most iconic.
And like in Japan, obviously it's going to be very iconic, even though there are other mountains in Japan.
Yes.
Also true. They have ranges up in Hokkaido that are quite nice, but not the same.
Anyway,
Now,
so
to be
my trip was
fair-
wonderful. It was great.
To be fair to Jay's previous point, I did have a very clear image in my mind about what Mount Fuji looks like. And while I did have a fairly vague idea of what like the Matterhorn looks like, Kilimanjaro, I would say absolutely is an iconic mountain. I did not know what it looks like exactly.
Yeah.
But considering it is a volcanic mountain, it is very Fuji-esque.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I will
And I
also
looked
say
up
that-
Everest. I looked up Everest just to make sure. If someone gave me a picture of Everest, I wouldn't have been able to point it out.
Would you have been like, "Oh, that somewhere in the Rockies?"
I honestly, I probably might
Yeah.
have been.
Sometimes I look at the Swiss Alps and I go, yeah, that looks like it could be part of the Rockies, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with Fuji, the other thing that really helps, it's the shape. Like it's so symmetrical.
It looks like
You can't help but to be
Yeah,
like,
it's very perfect, you know.
yeah, it's how a child draws a mountain, and that's not a bad thing. It's just the idea of simplicity sticks out in people's mind.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It looks like poop.
Anyway,
It was a really nice
think-
trip. It was a really much needed break, and I'm glad I'm back. I missed my bed. That's always the problem in Japan. I miss my bed. But otherwise, I already
Sleeping in
missed the
Japan
toilets over
is
there.
difficult.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
the
it
beds
is.
that they have over there are fine. The pillows are the weird part.
My hip disagrees. It doesn't like sleeping. Like I'm a side sleeper, so my hip really hates it when the beds are really, really hard.
Their beds are very much just because they're futon culture.
Mm-hmm.
It is more geared towards back sleepers than side sleepers.
Even as a like, I spend, I'd say half my time on my side, half my time on my back, but still, my tailbone doesn't like it either.
That's fair.
The pillow thing, definitely ran into that again this time. My solution was to just fold it in half and sleep on it like that. The problem
Valid.
with that is that it bounces open the second you let go.
Yeah, you like roll over, you try to reposition, and then your pillow just bounces out, and you're like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah. What are you doing? I have to fold you back up.
Yeah, you're right.
What we need
But
to
yeah.
do is we need to start a pillow company in Japan.
Oh man, I
It would
wonder
be
how well that
so
would take
easy to
off.
take over the market.
Well, it depends on what like is culturally acceptable too. Like if it's part of the culture, then it might be harder than I think.
No way, no way. We just grab some idol girl. We just grab some relatively well-known idol, have her like a commercial where she lays down on the pillow, and somehow that transforms her into a magical girl who lets everybody have a restful sleep. That is the commercial. We'll sell 12 billion pillows within the first 30 minutes, and we'll all become famously wealthy.
Huh. Well, time to do the thing where we try.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Quite frankly, the first Western pillow company that opens up in Japan, but actually appeals in the Japanese method, they will make bank. They need pillows over there.
Well, you've convinced me. Now we just have to try it.
They need pillows.
I agree. Let's do it.
Ah.
We're doing it.
Ah.
We're gonna bring delightful sleep to every Japanese person.
Yes, some down pillows, some feather pillows, even some regular ass wool and batting pillows. They will not be ready. They will not be ready.
It's gonna take off and you're just gonna be like, but now I have to quit my daytime job. What do I do?
Sell pillows, obviously.
Obviously.
Obviously. Maybe we
Obviously.
could even wrap a few of them up, sell them over the Christmas season by putting them into like a KFC bucket. I don't know. But Christmas is nearing, and so you have to appeal to the Christmas spirit. Yeah.
Do you know any children still who like are they in the age range where they still do the presents under the tree, opening on Christmas? It's a surprise. Do you have children in your life who are in that age range?
Not children, but that's not really a thing for just children. We all do
I
that,
was gonna
adults
say that
included.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like
At some
for
point,
us-
we just stopped doing that.
For
Like,
us,
I have a little-
sometimes
I
it
have a
wouldn't
little
be the
tree.
tree.
Oh, okay.
But we've got a small tree now. It's on our mantle. It's about 1.5 feet tall. We put presents around it. Because it's fun. It's really fun.
Cute.
The act of like opening presents with the wrapping paper and everything, it's so good. It's so satisfying. Last night we had the Otafest Christmas party, and there's always a white elephant gift exchange. And so with white elephants, of course, you can steal gifts or you can go and open them. This one person got their gift stolen 4 times.
Oof.
And instead
Must
of
have
going
been
and trying to
good.
steal something, they just kept going up to the stage and opening up new presents. And I know that
Jeez.
feeling because the act of opening up, of tearing the paper open, finding out what's in the box. It's just, so satisfying.
That's why
It's
going
so
first is
fun.
always fun in White Elephant if you're the kind of person who likes opening gifts.
Oh, yeah. I didn't
I do
participate
not
this
like
year,
going
but
first.
last year I went fairly early on, and I kept getting my gifts stolen. So I was just happy. I was opening like 3 different gifts that night. It was great.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah,
I stole from Dio and locked the gift down.
yeah. You absolute jerk! I can't believe you did that to us. Oh my god.
And I missed out because I was jet lagged to heck.
Yeah, there was
It's okay.
this set of homemade dungeon meshy gifts, including a very nice wok, a cutting board or serving board. I think it was more of a serving board. A dungeon meshy cookbook made to look like an old tome.
Oh my.
Pot holders with Senchi's face on them.
Oh my god.
And even some dish towels and a little waist apron. Oh my god, it was such a charming gift set.
That's
handmade by
amazing.
one of the staff.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
This was
How
a
in
gift
the
that was
world?
very well sought after.
And again,
Remind me what
it's
the dollar
handmade.
limit was for our gifts?
What was it?
I mean,
35, I think was the limit.
no, I think it was 20 to 30 depending.
Okay.
But really,
That's
but
pretty
again, a
epic
lot
for
of it
20 to
is,
30.
oh yeah.
Yes.
When I saw it, I was like, I must have it. Even though I did not need the walk, I traded away the walk because I just don't need one. I have many.
Fair.
Um, but
Still, still,
I
that's
got
a
some stuff for my
pretty
girlfriend and I.
nice. All
Yeah.
right. All
Very
But
right.
yes,
nice. Very
I always
That's
nice.
amazing.
appreciate the workmanship.
I opted not to go because if you just get off a plane like a few days ago, it's probably not a great idea to go and head to a large gathering of any sort. So we actually skipped
You don't want
two
to
work
be a super
events.
spreader? I can't believe
No,
you would be so conscious.
I can't believe I'd be so selfish about my own germs. We skipped out on two work events and
Don't
the
you know
Otafest
sharing is
party.
caring?
Sharing is
Yeah.
caring.
Where's the
In this
love?
case, I don't think that's true. Sharing is actually a sign of not caring in this place. But congratulations, you are not getting any weird airplane rabies from me.
Thank God for that. I don't need that right now. I
I don't
don't
need
need
any
that right
more.
Nobody.
now.
I don't need
Nobody
any
needs
health
to have their
issues.
holidays ruined right now.
But yeah.
But yes, we very much like to put the gifts under the tree.
That's very
We
adorable.
we don't always address them as from Santa anymore. Not always. But every now and then when it's like to family from someone, then we'll say yeah, it's from Santa.
I think that's adorable.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little tree as well. I think the most important thing about putting up a tree to have presents underneath, the tree has to be the lowest effort part of the thing. The
Well,
presents are the
either
point. Decorating is okay, but actually obtaining and decorating the tree is like, I don't want to go too hard on it. I'm
our
happy to
tree
pull it out of
is
a box.
exceptionally low effort,
Yeah.
and I love that. But we always, back when I was a kid, we would go all out on the tree. It would be a
Oh.
full day affair putting up the tree. We would get the tree out of storage, out of its box that has seen so many Christmases, every strand of tape on it telling its own story. You can count like 12 different rolls of tape just on one side alone. And we
Wow.
pull it out. We attach the branches as we fluff them up, and then we're like, oh no, that branch is too short. It has to go in the next section of the tree. No, no, no. And
Oh
then
God.
pulling out the lights explicitly for the tree, making sure they work, replacing any light bulbs that are burnt out, wrapping that all around, making sure that there's the strand for the inside of the tree, but also the strands for the outside of the tree. Oh yes, oh yes. And then we get the individual ornaments out. There's the boxes of the ornaments that go at the top of the tree, because that's where the angels go. Obviously, the angels need to be towards the top. But then we
Angels,
get
plural?
angels plural,
Wow.
not just one.
Wow.
But then there's also like the inherited ornaments. Like back when I was a child, our grandparents, what they would do every time there was a new kid in the family, they would buy a Christmas ornament with the year on it explicitly for that child.
That's wild.
Wow.
I
That's very
have,
impressive.
and I think my mom still has it, a 1988 glass ornament that is explicitly mine from I don't remember which grandparent.
I mean, it's still pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cute. I like
But
it.
yeah, back when I was a kid, the Christmas trees were an all-day affair, if not all weekend. And it would take up a solid quarter of the living room. It was a tripping hazard, to say the least.
I do still participate in a more effort involved Christmas tree because one of my very close friends and their family, which is like a second family to me, they go out to Crownland and they shoot a tree
Oh
and bring
my
its
god.
carcass.
They hunt a tree?
They hunt.
Yeah.
They go tree hunting.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow,
Oh
Wow.
my.
actually. So,
Gotta get a fresh one for the holiday, you know?
yeah, and then you gotta bleed it dry.
Yeah, you gotta hang it up and bleed it out and make sure that it's not gonna get blood everywhere.
Tree blood. Ant,
Sap
ant water.
and water.
I wonder how
do you do
many
that
people
thing-
cut down a tree and then accidentally bring a squirrel into their house with it.
Not a squirrel, but maybe other pests. Definitely other pests.
Bugs would definitely be a big one.
Yep.
I mean,
But,
if anything, I'm removing the pests from the environment. Perhaps it is one of those tree disease beetles that you always hear about.
Okay, quick story. I don't like spiders. I think a lot of people have this like very inherent dislike of spiders, or at least get
Yes.
mildly creeped out by spiders. But I don't like spiders. One year, one of our trees had died, like in our lot, our tree died. So my dad went and cut it down, cut it into chunks, put it in a box, and put it in the back of the car because we were gonna go drop it off at the dump. And the next day, standard Monday, time to go to school. Dad drops me off at the bus stop, right? As I'm getting out of the car, I'm like releasing the seatbelt and I'm looking over my shoulder so that I, don't get it caught in the door on my way out. And right on the thing that the seatbelt hangs off of, so the little rotating thing
Okay.
that it hangs off of, was a huge spider. And it was just inches from my face.
Oh.
Inches
that's-
from my face.
Oh.
So, due to that exposure therapy, you're no longer afraid of spiders. That's what I'm
not
hearing.
how that. I'm pretty sure Ranma tried that with cats. That's not how that works. No.
Oh. I like
I didn't
spiders,
get-
so.
There are like little spiders that are cute. I've seen cute spiders before, but generally I'm not a spider person.
they're
Tiny
the pests
jumping
that I tolerate.
spiders have rights, and all other spiders
Jesus.
must leave.
I would rather have spiders than other things that are actual pests. They eat the pests. I'm okay with that.
For the most part. I mean,
I don't think.
do you
as an
remember those
adult, I've
spiders
never
that we
killed a
saw in
spider in my
Japan? You know those spiders we saw in
Yes.
Japan, the big ones? They are still around.
Oh, I
We
believe
saw
so.
lots. We saw
Yeah.
tons.
There's so many
Yeah.
of them, the skulltullas.
They're
When you
so
go
big. Yeah, they're
through-
skulltulas. They're so big.
Yeah, when you go through places like Fushimi Inari, like the Thousand Torii Gates, all those Torii Gates are just prime nesting spots.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
100%. But yeah, like everywhere we went that had, it was a shrine with like lots of natural ground attached to it. Any place like that with trees, huge webs. Huge webs. The fattest spiders I've ever seen.
They
I
do be
believe it.
eaten well, but unlike Nancy, they could not shed the weight.
No. Oh, heck no. Heck no. But speaking of Skulltula and video games in general, did either of you watch the Video Game Awards this week?
I briefly tuned into them. I briefly tuned in and I saw the Ninja Gaiden trailer and I was very happy about that.
A lot of people were happy about Ninja Gaiden.
Other than that, I was actually completely tuned out for the awards part of the ceremony.
There was one award that I caught near the very beginning, and it was like the award they give to the people who make the most impact. And there was someone who had been sort of a pillar in the community when all of the big video game studio layoffs were happening. And he was the one who was helping them all find employment again.
I
That was
remember
really
that.
nice. I love that they addressed that. I love that they had an award to
I
recognize
am-
that.
Blown away that they actually acknowledged the layoffs in the video game landscape.
Yeah.
True.
No, they got a lot of flack last year for just not talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like the Oscars talking about like a
Union
writers' guild
strikes.
strikes or something,
Yeah.
you know? They would never.
They would never.
Video games are still on strike for me right now. It's a weird time.
But yeah,
But,
I thought
yeah.
that on a light touch for the Game Awards, I like the Astrobot one. Very fun children's accessible game.
I
Very
like that
bright.
Astrobot 1 because it's not a live service game.
Yeah. And it is, I would say it's a triple A. It's a Sony backed triple A,
Yeah.
but it's also a new IP and it's not too dark, too edgy, too hard, Souls like.
It's a casual single player experience, which is like the biggest possible middle finger to most AAA studios.
It's also a finger to Nintendo.
True.
A little bit.
Only in the form of we did what you do.
But better.
Yeah.
I am excited about the new It Takes Two, aka Split Fiction. That
That
looks
looks
so
really fun.
fun. I love that kind of split screen, like asymmetric gameplay stuff. So I'm super excited for that. And then also, there's gonna be an Okami sequel. That's a really nice soft spot in my heart. I loved the original Okami so much.
That is something
been a
where
long time
it
coming.
is. It has been a long time coming.
Like, I honestly didn't think they'd ever do an actual sequel to it.
No.
No. They
Like
had
there
a
are certain
pseudo-sequel.
IPs that you just assume are gone and you just appreciate that they ever existed in the first place.
That's one of them, yeah. I want to play Okami again, just because it's been mentioned and that there's going to be another sequel, but oh, so happy.
You got to refresh yourself on the story of Amaterasu.
Exactly. Got to refresh myself on the lore that they were trying to introduce.
Yeah.
And then Witcher 4 was unexpected. I was not expecting there to be a Witcher 4.
Yeah, it
I'm
is
happy about it.
unexpected.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
It looked good. I am someone who appreciates protagonists from every background. So, and I don't need to self-insert.
Oh my god. When I was watching that trailer, I was simultaneously thinking, this looks legitimately fantastic. How many gamers are going to be raging that they'll be playing as Ciri?
I mean, you get to play as Ciri in Witcher 3.
But she's
True.
not the main protag, and I,
Whatever.
I am
I'm
driven
gonna
by
look
only
so hot
testosterone.
running around in this fantasy world slaying demons. Come on.
Yeah, I made like I was in a Twitch chat watching for a little bit, and I made the joke that people nowadays, certain parts of the audience nowadays, would be mad to find out that Samus is female if it was revealed today.
100%.
If it was revealed today, they would be like, "How dare!"
What do
That's
you
not
mean
my
Samus
Samus.
is a girl?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But
It's insane.
I'm really happy to know what happens to Ciri because her story, and also The Witcher 3 had multiple endings. So depending on what ending you were gunning for, you could have a different starting point for this story. So I'm really curious which one they decided to build off of for this one.
That reminds me really quick. I believe Witcher 3 had it would read Witcher 2 save files and have some side quests that would play off of that information. I wonder if Witcher 4 might do the same.
I hope so.
That
That'd
would be
fun.
interesting.
Continuation
have-
is a great thing, right? So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like the whole Mass Effect 2 and 3 thing. Except my Mass Effect 1 save was completely corrupted, so I had to start from scratch for 2 anyway.
Unlucky.
and a smaller but very noticeable project, literally called Project Robot right now. It's just a working title. It's coming from the devs that made Ico and like Shadows of the Colossus.
Oh my god.
ICO
and-
was always one of those really interesting, like deeply immersive games on the PlayStation. I really
Yeah.
liked it.
I liked it.
Ooh.
I liked it a lot. So I'm looking forward to that. Tangentially, have either of you watched Secret Level?
Secret level? I haven't heard of it.
I've heard of it very briefly, but not
Okay,
watched.
it is on Prime, so if you have it, then you can already go watch it. But it's basically like a collection of short episodes with a story based on a video game IP. I will tell you that one of them
Oh.
was
Was that
based
the
off of Warhammer.
Was that the Amazon Prime show where Sony's Concord had an episode.
Yes.
Oh my god. It's so funny that Concord didn't even last long enough to make it until the release of their TV show.
When you say based off of video game IPs, you mean they include the video game IP, like as in they are using licensed, or are they just
some of them are literally licensed?
Implied?
No, it's named. Like in every episode, it's named what they're doing. So the first one is Dungeons and Dragons. I freaking loved that short. It was great. All of them actually have a little bit of a tearjerker moment in them. I really like all of them that I've seen so far. So I really recommend it.
All I know is that the Concord short used characters that weren't even in the game that was released.
Oof.
They were so certain the game was going to do gangbusters that they were going to use that short as an announcement for DLC characters.
Wow.
I see.
Like, okay, so I actually really recommend not reading the title screen for the episodes and seeing if you can figure out what the game or what the IP is when you're watching the episode, because they're the level that they actually reference story is different. Like, it varies every episode, but some of them are really out there, and I just wouldn't have known until everything pieces together at the very end of the episode.
Interesting.
So I will just say the first one is Dungeons and Dragons. I already said that one, but that one was really good. Watch the rest of them without watching the title card.
Interesting.
And see if you can guess the game.
I wonder if our listeners will be able to guess our title card. We're about 50 minutes in. I think they've already read it. So, we'll just have to practice next week.
Indeed. See
Bye-bye.
you next time.
Goodbye.
Set